Do against Indiana State, continue to crash the glass.
So the tip goes up in the air and the Rebels control. Keep your eye on Joel Tombwe. He's a guy who has really come into his own as of late, averaging almost 20 points over the last 3 games. And a tap out, and we'll be seeing probably a lot of that from the Running Rebels all game long. Indiana State led by Jordan Barnes, but Tyreek Key, just a sophomore, he's averaging over 17 a game and has been giving them some really strong contributions all season long. We got a foul on the interior. It's going to go against Emondre.
Do against Indiana State, continue to crash the glass.
So the tip goes up in the air and the Rebels control. Keep your eye on Joel Tombwe. He's a guy who has really come into his own as of late, averaging almost 20 points over the last 3 games. And a tap out, and we'll be seeing probably a lot of that from the Running Rebels all game long. Indiana State led by Jordan Barnes, but Tyreek Key, just a sophomore, he's averaging over 17 a game and has been giving them some really strong contributions all season long. We got a foul on the interior. It's going to go against Emondre Rickman, 6'9" senior from Collinsville, Illinois, and an early whistle against the Sycamores.
And that early whistle can help the Sycamores. Rickman actually did a very good job yesterday commanding both ends of the floor in the post for the Sycamores. So he's a guy, when you talk about the size that UNLV has, he's a guy they need to be able to have available to play heavy minutes.
Chris Clyburn controls. He'll pop the 3 from straight on. Ball tapped around and finally secured defensively by Clayton Hughes. And so first offensive possession here for Indiana State. Out of the Missouri Valley Conference, coming in 7-3 on the year. Christian Williams, a mid-year transfer, just got eligible. This is just his 3rd game in action for the Sycamores, and a strong move in the post for Emondre Rickman.
And we talked about Rickman commanding attention in the post offensively and also doing the job defensively, and they need him on the court. So that one foul early be something that could become important for Indiana State, because when you have a young man that can get it done in the post the way Rickman does here, and that's just power finishing over the top.
6'9", 255, the listed numbers for Rickman. So a big body. That last foul called against Hughes, and going to the left hand is Jonathan Chomwa-Chachua. Left it short. Williams, the step back 3, got it. And a good start here for the Sycamores.
And you can see Christian Williams, his confidence is growing each and every game. You mentioned only his 3rd game in the Sycamore uniform. Both games in double figures. His first game a double-double, but shooting the jumper as well. That's something that will be important for this team as the season moves along, and especially here tonight if they want to win over the Running Rebels.
Head coach for Indiana State, Greg Lansing, in his 9th season, already 2nd most victories in program history, and the most Missouri Valley Conference victories as well. Here's Tyreek Key. Strong drive, and that one gets waxed. What a block there by Shea Mbake-Jong. He's the team leader in blocks. Got his 19th of the season there, and then the 3 dropping for Noah Robotham. A transfer from Akron. Team leader in assists and also scoring at 7 points per game.
And we've talked a lot about the 3-point shooting prowess of Indiana State. The Sycamores tied for #1 in the country with Creighton, but it was the 3-pointer that really helped UNLV separate themselves from Hawaii in their contest yesterday.
Another block shot for the UNLV defense. Left corner 3 rattles around. And it is secured by Indiana State. Joel Tombwe with the open look, unable to cash it in. Barnes with the bounce pass down low to Rickman. And the right-hand hook shot is good.
I really like Rickman and what he's been able to do, and you've seen him now go to work on both blocks. And, of course, going up against a tall, athletic front line of UNLV, but Rickman does not seem to be phased at all.
Already matching his scoring output in the quarterfinal matchup against Colorado. Baseline jumper left short, battered around and chased down and retrieved there by Robotham. Tried to drive the lane. Now it's Tombwe. fadeaway shot off the heel. And a strong rebound by Williams. Some up and down action here. Indiana State looking to push. Williams denied access.
You know, and Williams got that shot blocked, but that's really what makes Indiana State so good. Williams, who pretty much plays the 4 position on defense, but offensively, he's more of a point guard. So you see a guy that can get a rebound and push it both ends of the floor. But one thing when you're playing against UNLV, you got to watch your head, because those block shots could give you a concussion.
Already a couple for Shea Mbake-Jong, 6'11" sophomore, originally from Senegal. Just turned 19 this month. So maybe still growing.
That's a scary thought.
Here's Devin Thomas, just checked in. Able to keep his feet, but he lost the rock. And UNLV coming off of a quarterfinal win against Hawaii. Just 1 of 8 from the field. Make that 1 of 9, but an offensive board. Mbake-Jong can't find it. And we got a whistle underneath. So 15:49 left to play. It's Indiana State up.
And Emondre Rickman, the main part of that, getting it done on the inside. We've seen the jump hook multiple times, and this is true for the Sycamores.
On UNLV, head coach for the Runnin' Rebels, Marvin Menzies, in his 3rd season. Last year led UNLV to its first 20-win season in 4 years. That was a 9-game improvement from his first season on the sideline. And
Marvin Menzies has been in winning programs, so trying to bring those ways to UNLV, where he took over a team that only had 2 scholarship players returning. And so he's had to build from ground up, but here in year 3, definitely got them going in the right direction.
And Greg Lansing, he likes the crew that he has put together here out on the floor, and certainly with Jordan Barnes at the helm, they can score and they can shoot, coming in as the top 3-point shooting team in the nation. Prior to this tournament, though, they lost against another participant in the field, TCU, and it's remarkable, as the top 3-point shooting team in the country, they were held to just 18% shooting against the Horned Frogs. Tells you a little something about that TCU defense, as a foul is called on UNLV. Again, Sycamore's looking to push.
And that's one of the areas of where I'm sure Greg Lansing is trying to motivate his team. They want another shot at TCU. But in order to be able to get that, TCU must win tonight, and they have to take care of business against UNLV. But I know that that's a performance that stands out in the mind of the Sycamore team, because they don't feel like they put on their best performance in Fort Worth.
Bronson Kessinger at the free throw line, 6'8" junior, shooting just 37% from the charity stripe. He just got that first one to go.
But that doesn't look like a 37% stroke. So when doesn't come up, goes 50%. Hey, that's better than 37, though.
That's right.
At the end of the day, you make 1 out of 2, your percentage goes up.
Lob pass to the rim. UNLV unable to convert, as Mbake-Jong couldn't hang on. The Runnin' Rebels 1 of 11 to start this game from the field. Here's Kessinger. Well, maybe he just needs to shoot a jump shot from the free throw line.
Well, and Kessinger gave Indiana State huge minutes yesterday as well. And when you think about the Sycamores and what they have to do competing against this size of UNLV, you've got to be able to bring these shot blockers out of the paint. So a guy like Kessinger can really have a field day against this defense, because the UNLV defenders are used to playing back and protecting the rim.
And a traveling violation is called against Joel Tombwe.
Whenever you have the ability to shoot the basketball the way that Indiana State does, you're going to get opportunities to attack the paint, because teams are so concerned about taking away that 3-point shot, which normally allows guys like Kessinger, with that rim being protected, to walk into easy looks.
Saw that dish coming from the redshirt freshman Cooper Neese. Signed with Butler out of high school, transferred to Indiana State, though, in October of 2017. So wasn't eligible, like his teammate Christian Williams, until just a couple of games ago. But they threw him into the fire, played 26 minutes in that loss to TCU. Was 1 of 7 from the field, played a much better game against Colorado, 10.6 rebounds in 20 minutes of time.
But in college basketball, it's rare to see not just 1 but 2 guys have this level of impact coming into a season, especially when you start playing in mid-December. But both these guys Cooper Neese and Christian Williams, the two that combined have, you see the numbers already, 24.5 and 23 minutes. And those numbers could possibly go up because they are integral parts of what could be a successful Sycamore team this season.
It certainly changes the dynamic of the look of this roster for sure. Here's Kessinger in low. Nice soft touch with the left hand there.
And again, Indiana State, we know about their three-point shooting, but now that's 3 separate opportunities where they've been able to post the basketball, 2 for Rickman and 1 for Kessinger, where they're able to just score over top of the taller UNLV defenders.
Meanwhile, another miss by the Rebels, knocked out of bounds, and it belongs to the Sycamores. Yeah, just 1 attempted 3 for Indiana State so far. They were 8 of 12 in the opening half of that quarterfinal matchup with Colorado.
But that's okay, because what that's allowing them to do is control the tempo, and they know that Jordan Barnes is going to attract a lot of attention, and so UNLV is going to try to run him off the line. But what UNLV hasn't been able to do is guard Indiana State on the block.
Here's Neese being watched closely by Robotham. Here's Kessinger again. Too strong there on the fadeaway and going up the ladder and tearing down that rebound was Bryce Hamilton. And we'll have a whistle on the drive. This one's going to go against Tyreek Key. So UNLV 1 of 12 from the field. We're hearing a lot of clanging noises at that end. What can they do to try to see this basketball go through the hoop?
Well, one thing they have to do is try to find a way to get transition opportunities and get the athletes out in space instead of having to face Indiana State's half-court defense, which has been very good early in this game.
Here's Jonathan Chachua, and he's called for the offensive foul. 6'8" freshman from Cameroon, who has tremendous bounce off the deck. But that time, just a little too strong with it.
And just a veteran play by Kessinger. Fights, doesn't get position, but immediately, and when you look at that play and you say, okay, wait a minute, what about the fact that his foot was inside the restricted area? He's a primary defender at that point, not coming over to take a charge. As a primary defender, it doesn't matter where you are, restricted area or not. You cannot lower your shoulders and invade that cylinder, knocking a player over. Great call by our officials.
So a 12-3 start here for Indiana State, and your thoughts on the pace so far?
Oh, it favors Indiana State, no question about it, because what UNLV's unable to do is force the turnovers from Indiana State. And when Indiana State's getting this many good opportunities, they're going to take advantage of them. You're talking about a team that shoots close to 50% from the field, and we've already mentioned over 45% from 3.
Drive by Key, and that got blocked. UNLV defending well at the rim. Can they convert? They do. Bryce Hamilton, strong move by the freshman.
But that's it for UNLV. You don't want to have to play against Indiana State's half-court defense. When you get those opportunities in transition, you have to take advantage of them. The block shot leading to an offensive opportunity for the Rebels.
First points in 5 minutes for UNLV, and that ends a 7-0 Indiana State run. Here's Rickman backing down on JTT, the up and under move. Rims out on him. UNLV 6-4 on the season. Out of the Mountain West Conference, and Tomway misses from up close, gets it back, gathers, is blocked by Rickman, and a little roll reversal there on the shot block by the Sycamores. Here's Key for 3.
Christian Williams is playing the 4 position, but yet he is a point guard, making a beautiful find to Key, who's able to knock down the 3 in transition. But again, when you have 4 guys that can put the basketball, it's going to put your team in an advantage offensively.
And an illegal screen called against Jonathan Chachua. Obviously a point of emphasis, but a 10-point advantage for the Sycamores.
A paint touch, Christian Williams getting out in transition, a beautiful find to Key. And of course, if you're Key, you got to finish with the 3.
Hey, good to see you, man. I flew to Maui.
Playing with some confidence, got that win over Colorado in the quarterfinal round yesterday. They led by as much as 14 in the second half, although the Buffaloes were able to cut it to a 1-point game very late in that contest. It would ultimately, though, be the Sycamores' first win over a current Pac-12 program since 1946.
And a huge win for Greg Lansing and his team. And we mentioned the fact that he's got 2 guys who are just now playing today their 3rd game, their 2nd game in a Sycamore uniform, and Christian Williams and Cooper Neese. Both these guys really just getting acclimated, but you see this Indiana State team continues to get better, and they've got up to a great start here today.
Some light extended pressure there on the inbound by UNLV.
You know, and for what Indiana State's already been able to do, they've done it without Jordan Barnes getting involved in the scoring mix. So if he's able to get going, it can really get dangerous for the Sycamores.
De'Avion Washington unable to hit from distance. Oh, how about the cross by Hamilton? Wiped away by Rickman.
Well, that was a beautiful play on both sides. Hamilton with the nice crossover. You love it, but that's one where Rickman comes up and cleans it up. $1 million move, but 10-cent shot when you can't get it over the big fella. 2
blocks for Rickman. That's now 108 for his career. 1 away from tying for 4th all-time in program history, and a good clear out there on the board. Streaking to the hole, will have a foul. Looked like a good block up top, but a whole lot of body as Christian Williams was attacking the lane. The annual NBA on Christmas Day tradition continues with 5 of the best gifts anyone could ask for. At noon Eastern, it's Bucks Knicks on ESPN. Then at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC, you got Thunder Rockets, followed by Sixers Celtics and Lakers Warriors. Then we cap off the day with the Blazers and Jazz at 10:30 back over on ESPN. All 5 games are also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere.
Nothing better than playing an NBA game on Christmas Day. Is to, you know that people are home watching under the tree, opening up gifts, get an opportunity to get out there and show your skills on TV.
Do you have a most fond memory of Christmas Day hoops?
I only had the opportunity to play on Christmas one time, which was my rookie year in San Antonio, and I can remember not being home on Christmas Eve, with talking to all my family and friends on the phone, and almost crying that night. That was the first time I think I remember really being homesick. But I did get a bucket on Christmas Day against Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, so that made it all worth it.
Well, Amari Hardy getting the bucket and the foul, as this one will go against Emondre Rickman. That's going to be number 2 on him.
And that's a big foul. Rickman, we talked about, and he picked up the one on the first possession early for Indiana State. And the thing is, his ability to score on the post, but also we talked about his shot blocking ability, becomes extremely important for the Sycamores on the interior, because you're giving up so much size to this running Rebel team. You have to have at least that one guy that can compete in the post.
So 3-point play by Hardy. It's Indiana State having UNLV doubled up at the moment. Ball tipped around a couple of times, brought back down by Alante Holston. And here he is again with it. Leaves it for Williams. Left it short.
But that's John right there. His ability to block shots, really just altering that shot for Christian Williams. Normally that would have been an easy bucket for Williams, but recognizing the shot blocker there.
And a blocking foul will go against Kessinger, as Amari Hardy showing some aggressiveness. He's a guy that Marvin Menzies refers to as a natural-born scorer, can play both guard positions. And we're seeing him assert himself a little bit the last couple of trips.
Well, and he got quality minutes in their win yesterday. And so he's a guy that's continuing to build a lot of equity within his coach. And that's what happens, especially when you go away from the road. And they, got the win over Hawaii, which counts as a true road win on the season for UNLV. For everyone else, it's a neutral site game playing a tournament. When you play against Hawaii, it's actually a true road game. And so that was a quality win for the Running Rebels yesterday.
Yeah, their first true road win, in fact, this season. A game in which they out-rebounded the Rainbow Warriors 44-29, including 15 offensive rebounds, 18 second chance points for UNLV in that game. It's been Indiana State, though, cooling off a little bit. Kessinger able to get the friendly bounce. They were one of their last 8 prior to that attempt. Kessinger giving them some solid minutes here. He's got 7 on 3 of 4 shooting.
I believe the biggest misconception about the Sycamores is they're just a three-point shooting team, but you've seen already with Rickman and Kessinger, they have 2 capable interior presences, and you look at the points and paint numbers where they actually have doubled up UNLV to this point.
Jump shot long from Hardy. Kessinger from the elbow. And an offensive rebound by Christian Williams. Hughes the fadeaway. UNLV still sitting on 8 points. We're over 11 minutes in. That finally changes on the one-legged bank shot. Nicely done there by Joel Tombwe.
And Tombwe did a great job avoiding, because Key was trying to get into position to take the offensive foul. Tombwe does a great job avoiding the contact and still with the concentration to finish.
Tombwe, the reigning Mountain West Conference Player of the Week, had 22 and 11 in the overtime win against BYU. As we'll have another whistle against the UNLV defense.
And give the Sycamores credit. As many shots as they've already had blocked in this game, it has not deterred Key or Williams, any of those guys, from attacking the basket, especially Kessinger. And that's the only way they're going to be able to negate this size of UNLV, is try to get these guys in foul trouble and, of course, get Jong and the shot blockers on the bench so they have more of those opportunities, because UNLV right now is doing a great job of keeping Indiana State off the three-point line.
Buckeye Jong picking up his 2nd foul, so he sits. Jonathan Chachua back into the game along with Trey Woodbury for UNLV. Cooper Neese back on the floor for Indiana State. So a 20-10 advantage here for Indiana State. And Corey, how about this? Their leading scorer, Jordan Barnes. We're talking about a 20-point per game scorer. He hasn't even attempted a field goal yet.
But what he has been is a great decoy. And oftentimes, you know, some of the best contributions you can make to your team is to take the attention of the opposing team. And he's done that very well. His ability to shoot the three has stretched out UNLV's defense, allowing driving lanes for his teammates to be able to get to the rim. They're not going to help off of Jordan Barnes. We talked about the fact that he shoots over 50% from 3, so he's not going to be a guy that they leave. Now you're playing 4-on-4, oftentimes 4-on-3 when he's taking advantage of, when he has to take advantage of the double team.
What does that say a little bit about his personality? A guy who is obviously a preseason first-team All-Missouri Valley Conference selection. Doesn't look like he's pressing at all. Doesn't look like he's worried about the shot attempts almost 12 minutes in.
You know, he's not worried at all, because he's concerned about winning. And you can tell that is a key for Jordan Barnes. He's playing, and we talked about the transfers coming in, Christian Williams and Cooper Neese. That's going to take away opportunities from Jordan Barnes and from Key. But these guys are more about winning than they are about their own numbers. So when you see that, that only makes this team better. He's still going to have some huge games, because he's not always going to play against the size, length, and athleticism that UNLV has, so he can get many more of his shots. But right now, they've done a great job, but they can't stop his teammates.
Conway pulling down the rebound after going 1 of 2 at the free throw line. But the half-court offense has been a challenge here for UNLV. They get it in low to JTT. Nice shovel pass underneath the Tomway for the easy deuce.
Beautiful find, and give Tombwe credit for not just standing, but finding the open area to help his teammate out of the jam and also find the bucket.
First shot attempt for Barnes, and it's pure. Gotta like that.
You know, and that's where he can really be successful without the basketball in his hands and being able to move off screens, because he's difficult to guard off the dribble, but even more difficult off the cut.
Jonathan Chachua to the left-hand hook shot. Offensive board Clyburn, but he lost it out of bounds. 7:15 left to play here in the first frame, and Indiana State still up 9 on UNLV in this semifinal matchup. That is a good point, my friend.
Because, I mean, I'm not going to stay in the room to listen to LaVonzo Ellis and Roxy Bernstein. I mean, you know, I like those guys, but not that much.
We are looking forward to how LaVonzo Ellis negotiates commentating a game that his son plays in, Walter, for Bucknell.
That is going to be fun. I honestly didn't even like watching my son play basketball. I loved watching him play baseball. Did not like watching him play basketball. So I can't imagine sitting over on the side and having to comment on national television about my son playing. I don't envy Fonz in that situation.
3-ball rimming out for Cooper Neese. Open look. Robotham for 3. Got it. And after starting 6 of 23 from the field, you look up at the scoreboard, and UNLV only trails by a half dozen.
Well, if there's ever one team you never want to gamble against, it should be Vegas. So therefore, you never want to bet against Vegas. And Jordan Barnes gambled on that possession, leaving Robotham wide open for the 3 in the corner.
A good cut there by Kessinger, lays it up and in. He's got 9.
And Kessinger has had a strong first half. Rickman in foul trouble, has 2 on the bench. But there's been no drop-off whatsoever when they've had to go to the bench and bring Kessinger in. He's had a productive first half.
Quick pop there by Woodbury. Offensive board. JTT can't finish, but he draws the foul. Saturday, December 29th. It's not all about college football. ESPN2 has a college basketball rivalry doubleheader for you. Davidson takes on number 9 North Carolina in Chapel Hill at noon Eastern. Then it's number 19 Kentucky and Louisville. You can always watch both on the ESPN app as well from anywhere. Kentucky Wildcats have won 5 of the last 6 meetings and 9 of 11, in fact, against the Cardinals dating back to 2010. Jonathan Chachua goes short on both free throw attempts.
Right now, UNLV banking on they can win with Indiana State beating him from inside the 2-point line. But in order to be able to do that, UNLV's got to put points on the board. Because Indiana State, although they're a great 3-point shooting team, have shown that they're proficient inside the arc as well.
Thomas, he somehow held that pivot foot down. Missed the turnaround, though, and Ben Coupette Jr. with the rebound, getting his first action of the night. Step back 3 by Hardy. Wow. Amari Hardy shooting just 28% from the land of 3 coming into this game. Sticks that one, and it's a 5-point differential.
But Coach Menzies has a lot of confidence in Hardy. Played him 29 minutes and, of course, hit 2 threes in the game yesterday. So he's playing with a lot of confidence.
The dish from Barnes to Holston. And right back come the Sycamores.
And you see Jordan Barnes. It doesn't have to always be him scoring, but it's always going to be 10 eyes on Jordan Barnes when he has the basketball from UNLV. That time they're leaving a wide open man, allowing him to be able to get an easy bucket. And Indiana State now with 12 points in the paint, a battle we thought that UNLV definitely would win in this game.
Yeah, that goes against some of what was predicted in this matchup for sure. Here's Hardy. Got it to go. Amari Hardy taking over here in this latter portion of the first half for UNLV offensively.
And you mentioned Hardy more of a scoring point guard than a true point guard, but yet his ability to attack the basket, especially after he's knocked down the 3, makes him even more dangerous on the offensive end.
Good hands there by JTT. Here's Hardy. Robotham decides to pass up on the shot attempt. Couple of interior passes. It's a layup for Coupette. And UNLV has trimmed it down to 3. Timeout, Indiana State. As the running Rebels, despite the cold shooting, have done just enough defensively. Getting looked at by the training staff just outside of the huddle. And now making his way to the end of the bench and walking very gingerly on that left foot.
And Neese was actually involved in the rotation, part of the reason why there was a wide open layup for UNLV on the possession before the timeout, where he injured himself. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to come back and help this team. Of course, a very valuable member, although only in his 3rd game, very valuable to this group.
Key left it short, the tip not there, but a reset. Barnes pulls up and hits.
I love the poise and the patience that Jordan Barnes plays with. And, of course, he knew he could have taken a 25-footer right there. But the defense would be recovering to him quickly. Took advantage of that and is able to take the mid-range inside the paint.
Just his 2nd shot attempt. He's made both of them, Corey. Letting the game come to him, as they say.
Who is they? Who is the they that say that?
As some say, Bryce Hamilton.
You know, and we haven't talked enough about Bryce Hamilton. Bryce Hamilton really was the guy that got UNLV going offensively, allowing himself to get to the basket, a number of opportunities to score, and now showing his three-point ability.
And we got a whistle against Indiana State away from the basketball. One of those illegal screen calls against Devin Thomas. That has been a theme, obviously, here in this early college basketball season.
And Devin Thomas getting extended minutes in his first half because, of course, Emondre Rickman and Bronson Kessinger, both who have had very productive first halves, on the bench with two fouls. And that has been one of the areas where UNLV has taken advantage of to make this comeback.
Chance to tie this game or take the lead with a three. The pull-up by Hamilton. Karam's out to Barnes, and he leads the break. Stops and pops for three and hits.
Kano, I could have told you when Jordan Barnes got that rebound, he was going to shoot a three. And the reason being, the mistake of Robotham was getting back inside the paint. And when you see Jordan Barnes, we talked about he hadn't taken a three yet in this game. And off this rebound, you'll see the defender run back inside the paint. That is too far. You have to meet Jordan Barnes well beyond the three-point line. He knew exactly what was going to happen when he got that rebound.
How about that flick? It is feathery. He's a guy who, when most of his teammates went home for the summer, he stayed in Terre Haute and worked his game. That's his first miss of this contest. But that shooting stroke is smooth, Corey. Left corner three ball for Hamilton. He got fouled in the act. And that should be 3 free throw attempts for Bryce Hamilton as Christian Williams picks up the ill-advised foul.
And that's going to be the second on Christian Williams as well.
Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, preview of the upcoming 2019 college basketball schedule, plus the teams to beat in the Power 5 conference. And it'll be Zubin Mehenti and Seth Greenberg taking you through it. First free throw goes, second doesn't for Hamilton. 72% free throw shooter, four-star prospect out of Pasadena High School.
And for the Sycamores, one thing that you have to look at, you now have Rickman, Kessinger, and Christian Williams, your three most valuable front court players, if we count Williams, who starts at the 4, but really a point guard, as a front court player. But all three of those guys on the bench with the remaining 2 minutes with foul trouble here in this first half.
And it's going to belong to UNLV. Last touched by Tyreek Key, according to the official.
But I love what happened right there, and I'm not really loving what's happening here, leaving a guy wide open in the corner. But Jordan Barnes, when he saw his teammate in backcourt make Tyreek Key talking to the official, Jordan Barnes went over and grabbed Key and told him, don't say anything to him, calming his teammate down. And I love that veteran presence by Jordan Barnes. And, of course, great to see Cooper Neese back in the game, still running a bit gingerly. We'll see how productive he can be over the last minute and a half of this first half.
Yeah, that wasn't a long session on the bench for Cooper Neese. And here he is already handling it. Indiana State by 3. Barnes. Pass goes through the hands of Devin Thomas, but last touched out of bounds by the running Rebels. 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
And at this point, we mentioned the foul trouble. You want to play through Key, Barnes, and, of course, Neese. Get him opportunities on the offensive end of the floor. But those are the three guys you want the basketball in their hands. Of course, you can eliminate the other two, just keep it in Jordan Barnes' hands. And you've got a great chance if you're the Sycamore.
Barnes with the floater.
And stop talking floaters. We don't want to talk floaters. Who loves that shot? No one.
Transition opportunity here. It's Holston to the hoop. And UNLV able to avoid that only momentarily, though, as Barnes pulls up, can't hit. Holston gets it back.
Shoot it again. If I'm Jordan Barnes, I'm letting that one fly. Especially at this time, you could actually get a 2-for-1 on that possession. And as well as he shoots the three, he missed one, which means he can shoot another one. He shoots 50%. He's going to make it. It's a given, right?
Instead, he's fouled by Hamilton. But let's take you through Corey Alexander's least favorite shot in basketball, the floater.
Yeah, not a fan of the floater, not a high percentage shot. But when you've got a guy like Jordan Barnes who can score the way that he does, you get. Now, look at that. You see how many times that ball hit the rim? When he shoots his jumper, it just goes straight in. You see what I'm saying? You got more accuracy with the jumper. Look at the free throw with form, with technique. The floater, you throw it up there for chance. I can tell you right now, I got a problem with Indiana State's SID, Ace Hunt, who called a spin move step back off of one leg, fadeaway jump shot, a floater in their game notes. What is he thinking? Now he's got everyone in the world thinking that was a floater, not even close.
I mean, not only is he referencing your least favorite shot, but he also misidentified it. The reverse layup not there. Too strong from Clyburn. A golden opportunity missed for the running Rebels. And now about a second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Indiana State can run it down. Four seconds to shoot. Barnes. Too much traffic as the horn sounds, and the officials are going to tell everyone to hold the phone. Yeah, they're going to review to see how much time might be left on the clock here.
Everyone running to the locker room. They heard the horn, but the basketball did go out of bounds, and there was still time on the shot clock. So even if it's a shot clock violation, it will have to be reset to give UNLV a short amount of time. You see, there is a difference on the shot clock. So as that goes out of bounds, still probably going to be at least a half a second on the clock, if not more. Not sure that there's much UNLV can do with that, but, you know, it's a possession, and every time you get out of a possession, you got to try to take advantage of it.
So Tony Padilla with the headset on next to Larry Spalding. Mike Greenstein, the third official of this crew.
And clearly out of bounds off of Indiana State, which means the shot clock violation will stand. Well, interesting to see because, oh, I said 0.5 earlier. It will be 0.6. Oh, 0.5.
0.5.
Was I right?
You got it right on the number.
I've been right twice in 2 days. That is new. That is new for me.
I always thought you just assumed the officials were getting it wrong those other times.
Hardest job in the game of basketball is to be an official. I am a very official-friendly announcer.
So the first half officially comes to an end. UNLV without a field goal in the last 3 minutes and 11 seconds. And how about Jordan Barnes? 11
attempts, knocking down 4 of those, and kind of took a little bit of time off in the first half to allow his teammates to get going before he started his scoring streak.
Yeah, Indiana State controlling here to start half number 2. Coming in, obviously, with the reputation of being the top three-point shooting team percentage-wise in the country. Made 9 three-pointers in the quarterfinal win over Colorado as Emondre Rickman draws the foul. But they went into the post early to establish the inside game, as you pointed out. They do so again on the first possession here in half number 2.
And by doing so, they get the third foul on Jong, who spent some time on the bench after picking up those first 2. But he was the guy that was doing the majority of the shot blocking for UNLV. He had 2 shots blocked in the first half and changed a couple other shots. So that's a big possession early. But a great job by Coach Lansing drawing up something to get his team to get the basketball inside.
Rickman missing the free throw. A 42% free throw shooter. Yeah, how about that? Jordan Barnes averaging almost 21 points a game. Didn't even attempt a field goal until 7.5 minutes remaining in the first frame.
But that's the mental side of the game that Jordan Barnes has developed, and he recognizes how opposing teams are going to play him, and he didn't force anything, just took advantage of the opportunities he was given, and he was more of a facilitator early in the game until he found his opportunities to score.
Rickman beating everyone back, but he can't finish. Robotham off the hesitation and a collision left side of the lane, and it's going to be a defensive foul against Clayton Hughes.
And Hughes was moving to his right on that one. Easy call for the officials under the basket, trying to gain that contact, and Hughes knows he's immediately going to the bench after that one.
But that's the remarkable thing about the scenario here in this game is UNLV got off to an awful start, just ice cold from the field. And yet here is now, despite the Rebels also going without a field goal the last 3:11 of the first half, here they are with Robotham at the line, a chance to once again cut the deficit down to 6.
And now Indiana State with, Hughes picking up his third. And they had some foul trouble in the first half as well. So that's going to be important as we go through the remainder of this game to see which team can keep their best players on the floor.
Tomway, after the offensive rebound, caromed out to him, drills the 3, and it's a 4-point differential.
But you see the change. UNLV going to pick up 94-foot full-court pressure, zone pressure off of made made field goals. And Coach Menzies wants to pick up this pace a little bit, allowing Indiana State to play at their pace. He wants to try to see if he can get these guys to hurry up a bit.
Here's the drive by Williams. Dishes to Rickman. Up, in, and 1.
And a great job by Christian Williams on the baseline, not settling for a three-pointer, attacking the basket and dropping it off to Rickman. Does he still get the assist, although Rickman bobbles that? See, it's unfair if he does not get an assist for that.
Hey, I'm one of those proponents of the hockey assist in basketball.
No, that's going too far. You also probably be a proponent for fighting in basketball like you do in hockey. You're going too far with that.
Yeah, penalty box in basketball, something like that. I think that's a great idea.
Playing 4-on-5 in basketball may be a little tougher at 94 feet than it is skating on ice, which is probably the toughest thing to do in any sport.
By the way, they did give Williams the assist. Tomway hits another 3. He's got 11.
And Tomway started off 0 for 5 from the field, but you see now he's found his offensive rhythm and doing it from beyond the arc. His first 5 shots were all in the paint, unable to finish. But now he's gotten it going from outside. 6'9"
freshman, originally from the Congo. And UNLV 6 of 12 from beyond the arc. Rickman, great up and under move. Working against Jonathan Chomwa-Chachua, who is playing with those 3 fouls.
UNLV doing a great job at what Colorado was unable to do to Indiana State yesterday, which is running them off the three-point line. But give the Sycamores credit for taking advantage of those opportunities. They had 16 points in the paint in the first half and got off to a great start here in the second half doing the same.
Here's Barnes. They get it in low to the mismatch as Thomas was being guarded by Robotham. And a foul against UNLV.
So much attention paid to Jordan Barnes on the perimeter. An opportunity for him to throw it up to Rickman. And then the big fella with the nice up and under going to the left hand to finish it off.
Joel Tomway now with a double-double, by the way. 11 points, 10 rebounds here for the Runnin' Rebels. A guy who's been averaging 19 points per game in his last 3 outings. Barnes, high off the glass to avoid the shot blocker.
I can tell you, Jordan Barnes has 13 points now, and that's great. But his floor game and the way that he's maneuvering on the offensive end of the floor, getting his teammates involved, as well as taking advantage of his own opportunities, has been spectacular. You see Indiana State playing with so much poise, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that their leader, Jordan Barnes, plays with that level of poise. You can't speed him up. And, of course, you have to pay so much attention to him on offense and the floor because he shoots the basketball so well. We've seen some really good guard play already in this tournament. Where would you place what we've seen so far from Jordan Barnes? Well, I think this is the best game, point guard game that has been played thus far in the tournament because he's only taken 7 shots and 5 for 7 from the field, but yet he continues to allow his teammates to have great opportunities because of his aggressiveness. Pull up 3. Rattles out the rebound by JTT. And, of course, as I start talking good about him, he forces a shot. Foul called against Cooper Neese. Neese, who had to leave the game for a moment in that first half with what appeared to be a left ankle injury, but is back out there. First ever meeting between these two programs. UNLV and Indiana State. Tomway on the show and go.
And a foul prior to the shot attempt.
Tombway's been playing very well. Over 20 points in the 2 previous games before yesterday, and then 17 points in yesterday's contest. So averaging 19 points a game over his last 3. And we talked about the reigning conference player of the week. And so already with a double-double in this game. So yeah, Tombway, but you see the difference in him in the first half compared to the second half. After knocking down those 2 threes, his confidence has just exploded. Now you see him attacking the basket, showing us all the tools in his bag.
And that inbound pass goes awry as Indiana State takes over.
And the one name we haven't said much about today is Chris Clyburn, who struggled. Didn't make a field goal in the first half. And now the turnover here.
Yeah, he's 0 for 6.
It just hasn't been a good afternoon for him thus far.
Leading scorer on the team, 13 a game, and a good find. Rickman showing some range here in his post game as he gets the dime to Alante Holston.
Yeah, the Sycamores are more than just a 3-point shooting team. You know, Rickman and Kessinger on the interior, they got a couple guys that can battle down low with anyone.
Here's Clyburn, gets in the scoring column.
He must have heard us. He knew it was time for him to get going. We talked about the fact we hadn't mentioned his name, so he gave us something good to talk about.
And an offensive foul called against Jordan Barnes. Said he extended that opposite arm just a bit on the drive. 44-37, Indiana State up in second half action.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Football playoff semi.
Indiana State and UNLV, and it's the Sycamores up 44-37, and perhaps surprisingly dominating in the paint court.
Well, it's a 24-12 advantage for Indiana State in the paint, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that you have so many players moving and cutting, not standing still. Holston making sure Rickman knows that he's there. A great find by Rickman, but the communication between the two, interior passing, has been an advantage here this afternoon for Indiana State.
How long was Holston open under there, huh?
He had enough time to clap, yell a little bit, talk to his teammates, let them know, hey, I'm wide open.
The pull up by Hardy off the heel. And the rebound pulled down by Tyreek Key, and it'll be compounded with a foul call against Chris Clyburn.
Now, it's a small thing, but coming out the timeout, I'm almost certain that is not what Coach Menzies drew up. With a step-back 3, and Hardy's been good, no question about that. But at the same time, when you have an opportunity to get your team on the sideline and draw up something and how you want to be able to attack when you have the basketball, it normally has something to do with motion if it's not getting the ball inside. But I'm almost certain it had nothing to do with a step-back jump shot.
Oh, that pass was there, but Rickman couldn't hang on. But they're going to say it was last touched by Jonathan Chumwa-Chachua and not Rickman, so it stays here in the possession of the Sycamores.
Coach Menzies not happy about that one. Voicing his displeasure, but how can you not be happy here? Hanging out in Honolulu.
Fun place to be during the holidays, there's no doubt.
I'm sure right now the coaches have no clue or care as to where they are. It's simply about trying to win a game.
It's a lot more fun when you are winning. Alante Holston getting in on the fun. And once again underneath.
Doing a great job making himself available to teammates as an outlet. We showed the replay earlier where Rickman was able to find him. And again, along the baseline, just able to attack the paint.
Here's Tombway. Shovels it to Chumwa-Chachua. The follow-up not there either by Tombway. Key for 3, does it again. 8 points for Tyreek Key, and he's hit a couple from distance. Indiana State 6 of 7 from the floor. They've made 3 straight. They have come out firing here in this second half.
Well, great ball movement from Indiana State. Jordan Barnes finds Key for 3 once again, and the Sycamores are rolling. redshirt year at Stanford during his freshman season, and now playing strong dividends for John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats. Got to mention my boy, though, Keldon Johnson, 23 points. You know I wasn't going to let that go.
Here's Robotham pulling up from deep. And UNLV has gone cold again from the field. Meanwhile, Indiana State continues to attack the rim and score on the interior.
You know, and I love the fact that Indiana State is, if anyone knows how good of a three-point shooting team they are, it's the Sycamores, but they haven't forced a three in this game. They've been doing a great job of continuing to get the ball inside, and because of that, they've really controlled the pace of this game because you don't have the long rebounds off of the long shots. Everything in the paint, and they've been successful more often than not.
Tomway. That one rims out, but he draws the foul. He'll go to the free throw line. But nothing falling right now for UNLV. I mean, even from point-blank range.
Well, you remember Tomway knocked down the 2 3-pointers early in the second half and really started to open things up for him offensively, but he hasn't gotten much production from any of his teammates. As he continues to attack the basket, try to find a way to the free throw line, which, of course, you put points on the board and stop the clock and allow UNLV to set up their pressure. But I'm not sure if their full-court pressure will have any way to affect the Sycamores because they play with 3 to 4 ball handlers on the court at all times.
Also now just 5-11 from the free throw line. UNLV playing without their top rebounder, it should be said, and double-digit scorer Shakir Justin, who's been out the last several games with a knee injury. They do expect him back, though, in the near future. But that does change the rotation, certainly, for Marvin Menzies.
It really does. And, again, you take out a veteran and you're making a young player play more minutes. And regardless of the level of talent, the experience definitely matters in college basketball.
Jonathan Chachua getting the starts in place of the injured Justin. And a good job in transition of forcing the issue by UNLV that time. But
also a great foul because we talked about UNLV's struggles at the free throw line thus far in this game, and instead of giving up a wide open layup, the foul forces them to go make 2 free throws.
The Avion Washington picking up that foul, and Tomway back to the line, hits the first. Tomway working on a double-double, 13 points, 12 rebounds. He went 17 and 11 in the quarterfinal win over Hawaii yesterday.
He's really started to come on as a player for Marvin Menzies, averaging 19 points a game over his last 3, and looks as though he'll be at least on pace to get to that throughout this one, adding the rebounds, really becoming the go-to guy for this UNLV team.
Tomway, one of those guys, again, from the Congo. Marvin Menzies saying he didn't pick up basketball till pretty later in life. And so he's a guy still learning how to play the game, as are several of these UNLV running Rebels. Here's a poke away and take away by Clyburn. Dishes left to Hardy.
And on that play, Clayton Hughes got back in position, but didn't attempt to take the charge because he has 3 fouls already. Didn't want to risk picking up the 4th. But I think he was in great position to be able to actually take the charge.
Williams got that one stripped. Right into the hands of Kessinger, though. He was in the right position.
How difficult will it be to defend Indiana State if Kessinger and Rickman can give you this level of performance on a nightly basis with their ability to shoot the 3? They would be extremely dangerous. I mean, a 28-14 advantage for the Sycamores on points in the paint.
That will bounce out of bounds, and it will belong to Indiana State. The Sycamores have hit 7 of their last 9 attempts from the field. And you're right, Kessinger now with 11 points on 5 of 7 shooting.
And with either Rickman or Kessinger on the floor, Indiana State has had their way against UNLV. The stretch where UNLV was able to come back and make it a game was when both those guys were in foul trouble and Thomas had to man the 5 position. But if those guys can continue to stay out in foul trouble and stay on the court, Indiana State has a very good shot of putting themselves in the final here at the Diamond Head Classic.
Clyburn picking up his 2nd. Indiana State making its 2nd Diamond Head Classic appearance in 6 years. They were here back in 2012. Finished third place in what was a thriller of a third-place game. They won on Jake Odom's bank shot about 15 feet away in overtime to beat Miami in that third-place game.
That was a Miami team that actually made it to #1 in the country.
Alante Holston, or make that first Clyburn, I should say, and one. De'Avion Washington picking up the foul. Under 12 to play. UNLV trying to hang around here in this semifinal matchup of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. He welcome into the Stan Sheriff Center once again. And Corey, Indiana State doing everything right. They are out shooting UNLV. They're out rebounding the Running Rebels. And they're doing so in the paint as well. Well,
and UNLV banking on the fact that Indiana State can't beat them inside the paint, but they've done that in this game. Only 8 3-point field goal attempts for the Sycamores. They're making 50% of those, so UNLV's done a great job running them off the line. But I don't think they were anticipating the production of Rickman and Kessinger, as well as their teammates attacking the paint and being able to finish over the size and athleticism of the Running Rebels.
Although that last foul prior to the timeout put UNLV into the bonus, so they will be shooting free throws the rest of the way. Clyburn able to hit there to complete the three-point play. If they can hit the free throw, which has been a bit of an adventure in this game, 9 of 15 so far, they can get right back into it. They trail by only 6. And Williams unable to hit from up close. Looked like the ball jostled around in his hands prior to the attempt.
But the pressure from Indiana State forced exactly what UNLV wanted, which was a quick shot. But a good shot for Indiana State, just unable to finish.
Key on the drive. And they'll reset. Open look 3 ball off the mark there from Clayton Hughes.
Clayton Hughes has struggled thus far in both games in this tournament, really getting anything going from outside.
Oh, and here's a takeaway by Key, and then the collision with Hardy. Hardy lamenting what was certainly not a quality possession for UNLV that trip. But yet the Running Rebels are hanging around here with almost 11 minutes remaining.
Well, they are hanging around, and they've been able to get to the free throw line and take advantage of those opportunities here recently. Clyburn has been able to get a couple baskets to go. And, of course, if you're able to score, then you can set up that pressure to try to force Indiana State to take a quicker shot and get the basketball back.
A couple of subs getting ready to come in for Indiana State. It'll be Holston and Rickman back on the floor. And Noah Robotham replaces Amari Hardy.
We've talked about the struggles that Hughes has had in this game, but Alante Holston has definitely picked up that production for Hughes in that game, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Coach Lansing is deciding to go with Holston at this point. And I'm sure we will see Hughes again in this game, but right now Holston doing a great job making himself available on the baseline for his teammates. He's a big portion of those points in the paint as well for the Sycamores.
And we'll have a whistle against UNLV out on the perimeter. Going to go against Bryce Hamilton, his second. So that is the 7th team foul for UNLV. That puts Indiana State in the bonus. And Key to the line. Missouri Valley Conference all-freshman team selection. 3rd Sycamore to receive the honor in the last 4 seasons. Started 5 of the last 6 games a season ago, and really coming into this year realizing just how good he is.
Well, and he's another one of those guys that hasn't forced the action at all in this game. He's pretty much taken what the defense has given him, just like Jordan Barnes, and not gone out of his way to go get his numbers, but more so concerned about what makes the team better.
Clyburn. Nice maneuver there. It took Clyburn a while to get into the scoring book. He was 0 for his first 6 from the field. He now has 7 on 3 of 10 shooting.
And I'm here watching this game live, of course, and wondering how he got around Rickman along that baseline. Rickman's got to step over and cut that baseline off. and take a charge if necessary, but not give Clyburn that opportunity.
Here's Barnes with the floater. Stop it. I mean, that was the definition of a floater right there. 2 feet in the air. Here's Clyburn for 3. And that one knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Sycamores.
I'm not sure if that was definition of a floater. He's got the arm underneath him. Great form on this. That's a jump shot without. That's a jump shot without putting the other hand on the ball.
It's a one-handed jumper, is what you're saying?
We're going to have to really show you guys what's a floater and what's not a floater.
We will break down the anatomy of the floater when we get a chance here. Robotham working against Barnes. Clyburn in traffic, got it denied. Now Key off and running. Right into Hamilton, and he draws the whistle.
I'm not sure if Indiana State gets enough credit for how good they are defensively, but we've talked about Christian Williams and his offensive ability coming up with the block shot. And then when Key gets the basketball in his hands, he's only thinking turn that defense into offense. Unable to finish, but gets to the free throw line.
So Key able to knock down that first free throw, the 10th leading scorer in the state of Tennessee's history. He broke Tony Delk's single season mark as a senior, so he knows a thing or two, obviously, about putting the ball through the hoop.
Yeah, anytime you're mentioned as a scorer alongside Tony Delk, you're putting up numbers, because Tony could get it done.
Tyreek Key out of Clay County High School in Tennessee. And the lead is back to 9 here for Indiana State. Every time UNLV has trimmed it down to a 4 or 5, the Sycamores have gone on a small run to secure hold of the game. Now a lob pass to the rim. Williams with the hammer. A 6-0 Indiana State run. How about the follow and the bounce by Jonathan Chachua, though, to end that surge by the Sycamores.
And UNLV trying their best to get the ball out of the hands of Jordan Barnes, but you see Barnes is so special. Unable to finish with the 3 on that possession, but it's hard to pressure a guard that good.
Clyburn with the right hand. The bruise and the bucket.
Speaking of being good, we've got some transition basketball going up and down the floor right now, which honestly favors UNLV. I'm not sure if Indiana State at this point in the game wants to get into a track meet with the running Rebels, but we've seen it on both ends of the floor, and this time is Chris Clyburn finding his way to the rim for the finish. The Rebel. Why is it that I did not know when I left the islands that Tua was from here? You did not give me that information. and that is solely your responsibility to make sure that I know, as my Hawaiian brother, I'm supposed to know who's from the house.
I will get with the Hawaii Tourism Authority. I will get with the Chamber of Commerce. I will make sure that that never happens again, Corey.
When Tua came in and led that tremendous comeback for Alabama, all I could think is, why did Kanoa not let me know? And why did we not know that Rickman could operate this way on the block? Well, maybe we did know, but we didn't know he could do it this well.
His footwork.
Yeah, Emondre Rickman is getting it done against us and taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the shot blockers.
Yeah, his footwork has been a sight to behold at times here in this game. Indiana State back up 8. Are they going to count that bucket? They will not. They wipe it away. The foul taking place prior to the shot attempt by Tambwe.
When you know you're playing against a shot blocker, you use that against them. You see Rickman get Jong in the air, and then the easy up and under to finish with the left hand. And the big fella enjoying his outing here this afternoon, knowing that he's going to have the shot blockers going after everyone. And he started out actually going over top of the shot blockers, and now just taking their own aggressiveness and taking advantage of that and using it against them.
5 of 8 from the floor, 11 points, 3 rebounds, couple of block shots. Not a bad effort so far here from Emondre Rickman as Joel Tomway hits the free throw. You may have noticed some international names on the UNLV side here in this game.
No, I hadn't noticed.
That is kind of a Marvin Menzies staple, though. He has been a very effective recruiter. He has also been a very creative recruiter when it comes to bringing in international players. He was very successful in doing so at New Mexico State. Pascal Siakam from Cameroon being one of them. Sim Bular, originally from India, from Canada, also being a key player in his time over there at New Mexico State. But he took it to an extreme here with this group.
A little bit challenging for us, but nevertheless productive for the Rebels.
Clyburn finishes. Williams trying to respond, and he's fouled. How quickly did the Sycamores get back up the floor after the made lay-in by Clyburn?
But I love the fact Jordan Barnes coming down and getting on his teammates regarding the defensive effort on the floor offensively. And that's where he was talking to Holston about the pick and roll defense on that one. And I'm not sure if he wanted his teammate to go underneath what the scouting report says, forcing Clyburn to shoot the three in comparison to allowing him to get downhill. But regardless, he still made the right play, the kick-ahead pass to Williams, who was able to get to the free throw line and, more importantly, put that fourth foul on Jong.
So Mbake Jong goes to the bench with the 4 fouls. And Williams sticks both free throws. So even though UNLV has teased, they have pawed. They have never led in this game. Tomway, and one.
I like that action from Marvin Menzies right there. And this is simply, I think my guy's better than yours. What looked originally like it would be a pick and roll ends up being an isolation for Tomway to attack Christian Williams. Tomway wins that battle for the bucket and an opportunity to make it a three-point play and a one-possession game.
And that's foul number 4 on Christian Williams. So he goes to the bench. Tomway completes the three-point play. And it's a three-point game. 19 points, 14 rebounds for Joel Tomway. Despite a slow start, putting together a monster game. Rickman underneath. Couple of moves up and in between 2 defenders.
And that's what you have to do, because UNLV has committed to taking Jordan Barnes out of the action.
Hardy too strong on the lay-in. The tip not there by JTT. UNLV had hit 4 straight field goals prior to that one, and a blocking foul at midcourt. Goes against Robotham.
UNLV has basically said, we're going to double Jordan Barnes in the backcourt and get the basketball out of his hands. But when you do that, you're forcing your other 3 defenders to play 4 different players on the other end of the floor. And that time, Rickman able to benefit from Holston's aggressiveness attacking the basket.
Both teams now in the double bonus. And Tyreek Key to the free throw line. Hits the first. Goes 2 for 2. Key now with 13 points. He's 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Clyburn lost it. Here's Holston now. Barnes. The soft kiss for 2.
The poise of Indiana State has helped them so much. When UNLV's tried to speed them up, they've just been unable to do it. And taking advantage of their opportunities on the offensive end of the floor.
Offensive rebound, JTT, the follow no, but he is fouled. Jordan Barnes, 17 points, an efficient 7 of 11 from the field.
You know, but Indiana State got out in transition because of great defense by Holston, and then getting the ball inside to Jordan Barnes, who, despite his smaller stature, is still able to finish over the trees on the interior.
Meanwhile, Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua hits the first free throw. 6'8", 230-pound freshman from Cameroon. Graduate of the Australian Center of Excellence, attended through the NBA Global Academy program. And it's a 7-point ball game. Sycamores break the press, and Barnes doing Jordan Barnes things.
But again, Jordan Barnes made the right decision not to pull it out and set it up and try to play against UNLV's half-court defense. You've got an advantage. Take advantage of it when you get that short shot in the lane.
And another foul is drawn, this time by Amari Hardy. Now 19 points, 5 assists for Barnes.
And this time, Jordan Barnes, not the guy that's trying to take the basketball out of his hands, but you can't allow a dangerous player like that to have freedom in the open court against your pressure and get behind your defense, because you can pretty much put 2 points on the board when Jordan Barnes gets to that spot. And you notice, crunch time, he didn't shoot a floater. Okay, that's a pull-up jumper. Technique, form.
Where did this disdain for the floater, where did this originate for you?
The floater was designed for people that can't shoot. That's the reality behind it. Guys that couldn't shoot started shooting the floater. Mark Jackson, Avery Johnson. Now, these guys worked on their game and became better shooters as their careers went along, but the floater was designed for people that couldn't shoot, that had to get shots off in the paint over bigger defenders. But now guys that can shoot decide that they want to take a lesser percentage shot, which makes no sense to me.
Oh, the strip there by JTT. The running Rebels finishing at the other end. Hardy with the 2.
That was a great timeout by Marvin Menzies, because even after the score, the Sycamores had an advantage on the other end of the floor. And right now they hold a 5-point lead, but we've got ourselves a game, ladies.
Diamond Head Classic. The winner of this one awaits the winner of Bucknell TCU. And that's going to be a pretty interesting matchup later on in the day.
It definitely will. Jamie Dixon, of course, with ties here at the University of Hawaii, trying to bring his CCU Horned Frogs in to win a championship here at the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. Of course, Nathan Davis's Bucknell Bison don't want to hear any part of that. And you know what's missing from that Sports Center prompt? How about them Cowboys?
Oh, boy.
NFC East champs.
I knew that was coming at
Let's
some
talk
point.
about this good basketball game we've got going on here.
It has been a competitive game. Despite cold shooting for the most part, or at least through stretches from UNLV, certainly to start the game. Indiana State has dominated in paint scoring. 40 points in the paint for the Sycamores.
But that was by design, and not to give up 40 points.
2 seconds to shoot. Kessinger can't hit the desperation heave.
But it was by design from Marvin Menzies that if Indiana State was going to beat UNLV, they're going to make them do it in the paint, not beyond the three-point line, which they're accustomed to doing.
Clyburn, a lot of contact, and it's a defensive foul.
Be interesting to see a replay on that one, because Kessinger was backing up, and I believe in his backing up, he stepped on that restricted area. He was in position to take the charge, but as you see, as he's backing up, getting that right foot back behind him inside that restricted area, making that an easy call for the officials along the baseline. I tell you what, my cameramen are better than yours. I don't care how you do it. Look at our guys right there. Great angles, both of them, showing exactly the perfect call by the officials. Kessinger in that restricted area. Maybe was already in there, but definitely that step backwards. He's shaking his head saying that that's not the case, but Bronson's been a great game. He's fouling out with 11 points, but got to know where you are on the floor. Make sure you get your feet outside of that restricted area.
11 points on 5 of 8 shooting, but he will watch the final 3:41 here as Clyburn misses the free throw. UNLV now 17 of 24 from the free throw line. They're getting a lot of attempts. They got a lot of whistles at this end of the floor as Indiana State continues to rack up the fouls. And it's a 4-point game.
And this is an advantage for Indiana State right here, because you're really playing with 2 point guards when you can put the basketball in the hands of Christian Williams and allow Jordan Barnes to not have to deal with the pressure from UNLV and still get opportunities to try to make him a scorer in the half court.
Holston, the whistle prior to the shot. So wipe that one away. It'll still result in 2 free throws, however. Don't forget, later on tonight, 10 Eastern on ESPN2, Bucknell and TCU. Who do you think has the edge in that one?
I think TCU has the edge because they have not just a good backcourt, a great backcourt when you think about Alex Robinson, Jalen Fisher, and Desmond Bain. But the Bucknell backcourt is really good. Jimmy Soto's got to make sure he stays out of foul trouble. Had a great second half yesterday. But TCU is a difficult task, and if Kawhi Noy has any type of performance like he did yesterday, Bucknell could have its hands full.
And we're going to have a foul away from the basketball against Indiana State, and it's going to go against Rickman. That's number 3 on him.
But it is an opportunity for UNLV to put points on the board without the clock running. Down 6 right now. Anytime that you can, but you have to be able to go take advantage of those free throws. UNLV trying to get a number of different guys on the line. JTT is going to be the guy that gets the shots. He was the one that got fouled, but of course, not the greatest free throw shooter. So if you're one of the guards, you're going to definitely try to find a way to put yourself in that position to take those shots.
Misses the first. UNLV making its second appearance in the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. Lost in the 2009 final to USC. That was the very first year of this wonderful event.
Did you do that game? Were you here for that?
I was here for that.
Okay. And you participated in all 10, correct?
That is correct. It sure has been a fun decade-long holiday hoops tradition as Barnes, picking and choosing his spots, does so successfully again.
And again, the ability to shoot the 3 has forced UNLV to do everything they can to run Jordan Barnes off of the 3-point line, but not taking into account the fact that he is also very good at scoring in the paint and using both hands.
21 points, right at his average for Jordan Barnes.
But it hasn't been an average game.
Hardy got it to go, +1. UNLV just not ready to fold it up.
Well, and we're seeing great guard play. You see going over top of the screen, not giving Jordan Barnes any room, but the ability to be able to switch back to the left hand and finish. But Hardy, anything you can do, I can do better. And better in this case would be not only 2 points, but an opportunity to get 3.
And that is foul number 5 on Christian Williams. So he is gone. Cooper Neese is inserted back into the game.
And Kanoa at the 10-minute mark, Clayton Hughes checked out of the game. And I said at that point, Holston was really giving Coach Lansing more production in this game. Doesn't mean that he's a better player, but in this game, Holston has given Coach Lansing more production. And since then, Alante Holston has stayed on the court, been an effective member, not necessarily always with the numbers, but has helped Indiana State. Hughes has had to sit out, and then, of course, with Williams fouling out, you would think maybe it's time for Hughes to come back in. But when you have Cooper Neese on your team who is capable of knocking down and making big shots, Neese is the guy that's gotten the call here at the end of the game. So for Coach Lansing, he's got 2 guys on the court that aren't starters playing here at crunch time, but that shows you the depth of this Indiana State Sycamore team.
That foul called against Clyburn, his 3rd, so it's become a free throw fest here in this late stage of semifinal number 1. And Key's been really good from the charity stripe. Now 9 of 10. He's got 15 points. Still a 6-point differential. Hardy step back. Got it! Make it 3.
Hardy continues his stellar play. I believe we're going to be looking at...
Yeah, it's going to go against Indiana State.
Well, the elbow of Jordan Barnes apparently making contact with Robotham. But one thing for certain is the officials go over and review this. There better have been contact. Because if there is a flop, that would be a technical foul on Robotham. We get an opportunity to see the replay of the 3. Hardy knocking down the three, and then on the inbounds play, trying to get open. Jordan Barnes' elbow does come above his head to get open. If we have a closer view, if that's a flop, that should be a technical foul on Robotham. That's one of the areas of concern that in college basketball the last few years. If that did not make contact, I believe that should be a technical foul.
It was a swim move-like attempt there from Barnes, but was there contact is the question.
Tough to see from that angle.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's conclusive from that angle for sure.
I'm pretty sure that the rule states when the officials go for that review, if it is a flop, and if indeed there was no contact, that's close. That is very close, because I can tell you right now, when you look at that, Robotham's face did not change directions when Barnes' elbow came over the top. But it was really, really close, so you can't necessarily say that there was no contact. Hard to see on that one. Maybe it did graze his nose.
Yeah,
but
it looked like superficial contact, if nothing else.
Yes, but it can remain an offensive foul on Jordan Barnes with them going over to, because that was the original call on the floor, and that can remain. But if there was a flop, in which I don't think there's enough evidence there to show that it was a flop, if so, they could penalize UNLV with a technical foul because of that. But I don't think that there's enough evidence there to show that it was not a flop.
So once again, Tony Padilla with the headset on, taking a look at this. Noah Robotham was getting looked at just outside the UNLV huddle. And again, the call on the floor was a foul against Barnes.
Yes. And again, that close, I believe that there was contact made. You know, it was just a delayed reaction a little bit, in which made you think, okay, was there really contact here? But the original call, it wasn't a flagrant foul by any stretch, in my opinion. But the offensive foul being called on Barnes, I think we'll just go play basketball and leave it at that. But we're going to get an explanation from our officials.
Mike Greenstein coming over. Regular common foul is the ultimate ruling.
And I think that's the right call, because, again, it wasn't an egregious blow to the head by Jordan Barnes. I'm going to say that there was contact, even though it was so close. There was contact.
And also an embellishment on the part of Noah Robotham.
No, I'm not going to say that, because if you get hit in the nose, you immediately cry. It's nothing you can do about it. You have to cry when you get hit in the nose, and it's enough to drop, any man. So if he did get hit square enough to where there was contact, I'll roll with that.
How big is this possession here? Tomway gets his own rebound and is fouled on the way back up.
UNLV third nationally in offensive rebounds, and now starting to flex his muscle on the glass, trying to come up with second chance points for Tomway, who was unable to finish on the first, but going back to get the basketball and trying to put even more points on the board without the clock running.
Tomway now with 20 points, 15 rebounds. And it's a two-point contest. UNLV just continuing to claw its way back into this game. Has never led, now within a single digit. Nice brings it up.
The one thing that Indiana State cannot do right now is get passive. A one-point lead is nowhere near enough for you to stop playing.
Barnes the take. Got it to go. Challenging Jonathan Chama-Chachua.
And with Jordan Barnes on the floor, I know that's not even an option to play passive.
That's 23 points for Jordan Barnes. They go in low to JTT. 5 seconds to shoot. Hardy. The whistle taking place prior to the basket. Now it's Barnes down on his back as he picks up the defensive foul.
It's going to be interesting to see because Barnes got hit on a spin move, and I'm not
battle at 10 Eastern. And the free throw by Amari Hardy is good. How about the game that Hardy's put together? The sophomore with 21. That's one off of his career high. He just tied it.
Way to leave us hanging on that one, Marty.
So a one-point game closing in on 1 minute to go. In a foul-infested contest. 28 fouls called against Indiana State, 19 against the Runnin' Rebels. Barnes with it. The pull-up three. Got it! Nothing but! .26 for Jordan Barnes. Sycamores by 4. Robotham can't hit. The follow-up is good by Clyburn. And UNLV still within a possession, 24.6 to play. But Jordan Barnes, stone cold. And he has his Sycamores still on top.
Prenderò 10 biscotti e 12.
Hit us in the mouth. Well, Jordan Barnes literally just got hit in the mouth, but he punched back with a big three-pointer. A defensive mistake by UNLV. They run Jordan Barnes off the line all night long, but in the biggest moment, a small breakdown giving him enough space to pull up and knock down a huge three. But even so, offensive rebounding allowing UNLV to stay in this game. They've yet to lead, but still in striking distance to come away with the win. But it's going to take a big stop here. I'm sure UNLV will come out and go for a steal with no timeouts remaining. They'll go for a steal. If they don't get the basketball, it will be a foul. But look forward to seeing two players guarding Jordan Barnes, trying to keep the ball out of his hands.
Indiana State still with 2 timeouts in its pocket if they run into any trouble. Got to foul somebody, but you don't want to foul Barnes. Somebody's got to foul somebody at some point, and finally it's Hardy coming in and doing the deed on Jordan Barnes, but so much time ticked off the clock.
I'm not sure I really agree with the way they went about that, especially when I've seen UNLV have the zone pressure where they'll take Tombwe and go trap. And you do that off of the inbounds pass to make Barnes give the basketball up over a bigger trap or give yourself a chance at a steal.
So you send the 90% free throw shooter Jordan Barnes to the line. He now has 27. Coming off of the 19-point performance in the quarterfinal round against Colorado, where he was 5 of 8 from outside the property line. He's enjoying his trip to the islands here so far. That's a certainty. Crucial free throw here. Making it look easy. UNLV needs something in a hurry. It's Hardy. Got stripped by Barnes. Key comes up with it. And with 3.6 left to play, it will be Tyreek Key going to the free throw line. And the Sycamore faithful that made the trip all the way from Terre Haute, they are starting to sense a championship game appearance for Indiana State.
And Indiana State has led the entire game wire to wire. And an impressive performance by Indiana State as a team. When you think about what they've been able to do with their points in the paint, Rickman, Kessinger, Holston, everyone that's been involved, but a superb floor game as well as 28 points for the star here early in this game, Jordan Barnes, who put his team on his shoulders at crunch time.
28 points, just one off of his career high. Meanwhile, Key missing the free throw. He's got 15. With UNLV's size and athleticism, the thought was they may have an advantage on the interior. That was not the case here in this game, however. Indiana State attacked the paint, and all that did was open up opportunities outside when Jordan Barnes wanted to take over. Inbound goes to JTT. Hamilton for three. And this one is over. That basket does not count. Indiana State wins 84-79, and they are moving on to the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic Championship game.
Well, and an opportunity to see what could be a great showdown. Regardless, Indiana State in their backcourt is going to play against a great